What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video. Today we're going to do the game preview for Sunday Night Football prime time game. We have two of them this year. We're only supposed to have one. This was not supposed to be one of them. We got flexed into prime time, even though it may have been, better idea, give the Packers the Lions Sunday Night Football. But now with so much intrigue, right? You have on Thursday night, Texans lose after beating us, so we have a chance to make up some ground. AFC South still wide open because of the injuries that the Texans are dealing with, right? It just doesn't look the same over there in Houston. So now that Joe Flacco's starting instead of Anthony Richardson, like the number of storylines to go into this game are incredible, especially NFC North, right? Is such a wild division. All those teams, I still believe all those teams have winning records, if I'm not mistaken, or at least at 500 at this point. I don't know how the Bears are doing, to be honest with you, but the Vikings started the year as one of the best teams in the NFL, and they've slipped a couple times over the last few weeks, but nonetheless, they are one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. And of course, the last time we went into Minnesota, 33-0 at halftime, we lose 39-36. So, I mean, there's plenty of storylines to come into this game. Obviously, with Joe Flacco getting the start over Anthony Richardson, that's going to be huge, but Anthony will be the backup. I thought there'd be a chance where we go into a game with Anthony being the emergency quarterback, right? Just in case something happens to Joe, you don't end up in a situation where something happens to Joe and then boom, all of a sudden we're back to Anthony Richardson and his business as usual. You know what I mean? It could make things a little awkward, but Joe's going to be the starter for this upcoming game, and we're going into it fairly. I have your attention. If you enjoy the content, hit that like button, and of course, be subscribed and have notifications turned on. When you look at the channel, the amount of people that come here, 52.6% of the people that have watched content on this channel over the last month are not subscribed. And just to go deeper into those numbers, of the almost 14,000 views on this channel in the past month, 66.8% of those views come from people that are not subscribed to the channel. If you're one of those people, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Again, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. Now, let's get back to the video. At the time that I'm recording this, I don't really know if Bernie is going to play. That's really the question coming into this game. Is Bernie, Bernard Raymond, our left tackle, is he going to be able to play? Not really sure, but what I do know is that Tony Sparano, no matter who steps into the lineup, ever since Tony Sparano got here as the offensive line coach, our offensive line been pretty good week in, week out. Obviously against the Dolphins, 60% pressure rate last week. Against the Texans, not great, right? There's definitely some stuff to clean up over these last couple weeks. But I do think that no matter, even if Mac and Savez does have to start at left tackle, I think we'll be okay. Now, the issue really is going to be the Vikings send so much pressure. I think it's like 41.4% of the time where they send blitzes. And that's where having Joe Flacco in a game like this makes me feel better, right? Anthony, we've seen different parts where Anthony this year, he's just not, him and Ryan Kelly, they're not able to point out and figure out who's coming. They're not able to dial up a good protection against blitzes, and then you have free rushers coming in, free blitzers coming in, and don't get me wrong, the Vikings are going to disguise things. They're going to make it difficult for us as much as they blitz, and the different areas that they blitz from, and how much ground some of their guys cover. Either when they're in the back and they're blitzing, or when they're up near line of scrimmage, and Harrison Smith is going from the basically line of scrimmage back to the deep third and still able to cover it. You know what I mean? Like, this Vikings defense, very good. They fly around. But with Joe Flacco, it just, his experience and him knowing and playing against this defense in the past, it makes me feel more comfortable going into this game. Obviously, Anthony can get away from the rush, which is, what the bright side with him in that whole exchange, right? When you have Anthony, he's able to just run away from people. But nonetheless, Joe, I trust Joe to be able to come out and make the pre-snap decisions to help us be able to get something going at some point. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Joe's going to get in and the offense is going to run 100% better. It hasn't mattered which quarterback has played this year. There are different times in the game where the offense just can't get anything going at all. Like, it just stale offense, a couple 3-and-outs in a row, like no matter which quarterback it is. Even in the game against the Jaguars, right? You have Joe Flacco in there, and we're able to put up a bunch of points. But if I'm not mistaken, we had 10 points going in that fourth quarter, and then we started going to Alec Pierce. And that's one thing I expect us to do, right? Because Joe found success going to Alec Pierce down the field in that game. Unfortunately, in the very next game against the Titans, Alec Pierce, 0 catches on 4 targets. So teams are definitely going to try to take him away. But I think when you're talking about Joe, you're talking about his accuracy and you're talking about his decision making. We're going to see more passes completed. We're going to have Josh Downs more involved. Joe's going to take what the defense gives him, right? And if they're going to send pressure, then you have to assume when they send that pressure, their guys are going to want to cheat up. And that's when, as long as we can block it up for a second, that's when you get the chance for Alec Pierce to burn them deep, right? Which is what we're going to have to do as I sit here and I look through the Vikings numbers this year. You look at how many times people pass the ball on. They have 289 pass attempts against their defense, only 152 rushing attempts. So very unbalanced, right? When you talk about teams that play the Vikings, very unbalanced. We saw Joe come in through 45 passes in his first game and 34 in his second. I think it was something like that, like throwing the ball a lot. So coming into this game with the Vikings and the way they are, right, they have 4.2 rush yards per attempt for their offense. They only give up 3.9, right? And of course, they're not playing against Jonathan Taylor every week, but nonetheless, they only give up 3.9 yards per attempt rushing. So with that said, you got to look at Joe Flacco, and he's probably going to be throwing the ball a lot in this offense, and who we have as pass catchers. Pitt, how involved is Pitt going to be? You expect Josh Downs to get, somewhere between 7 and 10 catches probably in this game. Hopefully Alec Pierce involved, right? Maybe Joe Flacco comes out, gets tight ends involved. If he doesn't get tight ends involved, do we make a trade for David Njoku? Who knows? That'd be pretty cool. But nonetheless, from an offensive standpoint, it's just about being able to get the right protection calls to stop the blitz. That's what they're going to do. 41%, bro. That's almost half the plays in the game for that defense where they're going to be blitzing us. We have to be able to pick it up. We have to be able to be effective. Those blitzes are a big reason why teams can't run on them. But if you can go away from the blitz, or Jonathan Taylor is so great because he can set a guy up, right? Like, looks like he's going to go into one hole and he can just bounce it, right? Get a guy to come up and he bounces it, right? We've seen him do it so many times over the years. So that's what's going to be key, is when they're blitzing, can Jonathan Taylor see it as he's coming out of the backfield, set something up and be able to bounce, one way or another, to even if it's only picking up an extra 4 yards, or if it's breaking one for 20, 30, 40 yards, big touchdown, right? Whatever the case is, Jonathan Taylor has special abilities to be able to do that. So that's where, blitzing, running against a blitz, not always the best, but it's not the worst, because you got to think, when they send more, right? You have 4. If they want to send 1 or 2 extra guys, those guys are at the line of scrimmage. As soon as JT's past the line of scrimmage, more than half the defense is already behind him, right? And JT, no stranger of making guys miss. We have guys, tight ends and offensive linemen that are athletic enough to get down the field and to be able to block. We have wide receivers that are really big wide receivers and physical wide receivers that can block. So, coming into this game, I think that's really what we need to do, is try to find some kind of balance, right? And obviously with Anthony, it was like, you don't really want to throw any more than 25 times. In this game against the Vikings, I would say you want to get as close to even as you can, right? If you can throw the ball, 30 to 35 times and have some of that be, extension of the run game kind of throws, and then, run the ball with Jonathan Taylor 25 times. And then, as a team overall, 30 to 35 carries. I think that's a good recipe to win. Now, obviously, on defense, you have to worry about Justin Jefferson. You have to worry about Jordan Addison. And we've talked a lot about the secondary and how we feel about our secondary right now, right? Jalen Jones, Samuel Walmart, Kenny Moore. Feel real good about these guys. Obviously, Julian Blackmon, Nick Cross in the back. But what this is really going to come down to is how aggressive these guys on the outside are going to be with these receivers, right? Now, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, for as good as these guys are, they're not big physical kind of guys. We have some big physical corners, so get physical. That's what I want, is to be physical, right? Touch them within the 5 yards, right? Don't get illegal contact, but put your hands on them within that 5 yards, push them off their spot, and try to make them uncomfortable. And of course, through the passing game, we've had a hard time with tight ends this season. So that's what we're looking at, is needing to stop TJ Hockenson. Make sure TJ Hockenson doesn't come out and have the game of his life here against the Colts and doesn't absolutely kill us. Okay, now obviously you also have to talk about our run game on defense and Aaron Jones, right? Aaron Jones has been so good in the past for the Packers. This year has been incredible for the Vikings. Exactly what that offense needed, right? They had Dalvin Cook the last time we were there, and we were able to stop Dalvin Cook in the first half, and then obviously second half goes crazy, including a screen pass that went for like 75 yards and a touchdown to really help the Vikings come back in that game. But now they have Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones has been incredible, and he can do both. He can run the ball, he can catch out of the backfield, and we're going to need to stop him. This Vikings offensive line, they lost Christian Darrisaw, which helps us. Thanks to the support on this channel, we now have our first partnership with Green Gridiron. And as you can see here on the site, you can go through, they have helmets for both pro and college. You can go through, look at helmets and build your own. You can go through and get mini helmets and be able to get your own mini helmet and build it the way you want. Now, you can also go ahead and search, as we do here, Colts helmets, looking through the Colts helmets, and they have all the different options, many different options of speed helmet, different Rydell's, regular helmets. They also have the new black helmets that the Colts wear for the Indiana Knights jerseys, and there's also this other style that is black with the blue horseshoe on it. Matte black, looks really good. Whether you want something for yourself or for somebody you love, you can get it on Green Gridiron. Okay, and the one that I got, I started with a mini helmet, and this one coming with the visor on it. And I might even one day go ahead and buy a blue face mask just to put on it. Who knows? I might customize this thing myself, get a different chin strap. You can get chin straps, whatever you want. You can build it how you want it. And getting one of these helmets, this thing looks sick. I know it's the mini version. You're used to seeing this one. We're going to kick this one off, and we'll probably still have that one in the videos. But Green Gridiron, that is the new partnership on the channel. Again, I appreciate you guys so much for all the support that you guys show here. Obviously, Lion Syndicate, Derek over there helping out get the partnership here. He's a leader of the syndicate. But here we have, again, really nice helmet. Give you guys a good view here of this, the blue visor on the front. I mean, this thing is sick, man. Really enjoy this. I plan to get more as time goes on through Green Gridiron. Hope to be able to do a giveaway at some point for Green Gridiron. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, have those notifications turned on. Again, I appreciate you guys so much for all your continued support. Now, let's get back to the video. But they went out and traded for Cam Robinson, and it's going to be his first game with them. And I mean, for offensive linemen, a lot of it is just knowing your one-on-one matchup. And hey, is this a run? Is this a pass? Like that part of it, like he can get some help from the guy next to him or from his quarterback, right? Like he'll be able to figure it out. But Cam Robinson is not Christian Darrisaw. So again, that should help us out. I feel like we do have a bit of an advantage in terms of the trenches on our defensive line compared to their offensive line. Now that we have DeForest Buckner back, Dio has been playing incredible this year, but DeForest coming back changes everything for us. So at the end of the day, offensively, we just have to not turn the ball over, of course. We have to be able to find a good balance between run and pass. But overall, the pass game needs to be what really propels us in this game. They've given up, the Vikings defense has given up 12 touchdowns passing the ball compared to only 3 rushing touchdowns. So Joe, a lot's going to be on his shoulders in this game, right? And if he comes out and loses, we get blown out and Joe doesn't have a good game, boy, it's going to get loud. And all the people that think that AR being sat was not the right decision, all those people are going to get ammo, and that's going to be fuel to their fire that they're spitting. So, if as somebody who thinks that this is the best thing for Anthony Richardson and the Colts going forward, I think this is a good learning lesson and a good chance for him to sit back and develop his individual skills. We get blown out. Anthony might be a starter next week. But of course we'll talk about that whenever we come across that. But I expect Joe to be able to put us in position to win games. A lot of it, of course, comes down to Steichen, who's been up and down as a play caller, especially this year. He was up and down a little last year, but more good than bad last year. This year, it's a little 50-50, right? There are times when it's good. There's times when it's bad, specifically in the first half. Shane just hasn't been great in the first half this year, although opening drives I feel like we're pretty good at, but it's past those opening drives in the first half, like we just can't get anything going. But again, offensively, just got to be able to keep a balance and be able to put points on the board, of course. And then on defense, it's going to be all about stopping the run, making Sam Darnold beat you, and really just seeing how aggressive these corners are going to be, right? You want the corners that we have to be aggressive with these wide receivers, and you need Julian and Nick Cross on the back end to really be on top of it. This isn't a game where we can have miscues at the safety position. They need to be on top of these receivers. We cannot let these receivers kill us. We can't let TJ Hawkinson go for 9 catches, 150, and a touchdown or 2. We just can't let it happen. Can't let Aaron Jones run wild on us. It's the NFL. The Vikings are a very good team. They're going to put points on the board. But I expect us to be able to put some points on the board too. This Vikings defense has given up some points as of late. They started the year very good. Over these last few weeks, they've been giving up a decent amount of points. So at the end of the day, when you take everything into account, offensively, defensively, for both sides, what do I think is going to happen here? Of course, I think it's going to be difficult to win this game, but as a Colts fan, look, I'm just going to say we're going to win this game. I think we're going to win this game, and the way we're able to win this game is going to be because we put up more points than they do. Okay, our defense has been pretty good. The way it started the season, not great. It's not perfect, right? The run defense against tight end, it's not perfect, but nonetheless, defense has been doing enough to win us games. And I think they're going to be able to do that again over the last few weeks. Again, we've seen the Vikings offense where they have periods where they just can't move the ball. If our offense can take advantage during those moments and those times, then we should be able to win this game. I do think by the end of it, because it's the NFL and because it's prime time, I think that we're going to be able to come out and win this game. And in another one-score game, I think we can win this game 23-19. Okay, it's one where I just think both defenses and the way both these defenses work, a lot of field goals could be scored in this game. This game could come down to which kicker does miss a field goal, right? Which makes us feel uncomfortable because the way Matt Gay has been. And now Spencer Schrader got picked up by, I believe, the Jets, and was possibly going to be kicking for them last night. It ends up being Riley Patterson, but nonetheless, he's not an option anymore for us. So Matt Gay, we're going to need to depend on him. I think this is going to be a big field goal game, but at the end of the day, again, I think we win this game 23-19. Of course, I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you think the score is going to be? How do you think the game is going to go? You let me know your predictions and thoughts about this game down in the comments section. And of course, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. We're going to continue to have more content. We're also going to be live Sunday night for the game, so please come hang out for the game. And of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.